3 to go in the NASCAR season for 2020. 2 races to go in the round of 8 as we go deep into the heart of Texas. But downforce has dominated the conversation this week as a near classic finish was ruined by the clean air conundrum. Also, Formula One is back and 2 drivers have been given their walking papers for 2021. And of course, IndyCar ends their season where it almost all began back in March. Good evening, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. and welcome to the Extra Mile. Thank you for joining us to take a lap with us for today, October 22nd, 2020. Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward are with me. Fellas, welcome in. It was a fun time at Kansas, but a controversial time as well. We're going to get into that. But first off, how are you guys doing this week? Hey, Christopher, I heard you say tired. You guys are in the middle of harvest time out there, so been putting in the hours. And for those that don't know, what all goes into making sure, because I think you work in a grain facility, I think you said, what all goes into around this time making sure everything gets where it needs to go? Oh, hold on for a second. Hold on 1 second. Gotta check something.
Yep.
All right, go now. I had to fix something. We got it now.
So we are non-GMO certified, but we also deal with GMO products. So a big part of my job is just making sure that we're meeting our non-GMO project verifications, and we feed every day. We feed 89,000 cows in the central New York area. That's about a million. It's like 1.1 to 1.2 million calories a day that we feed directly. So I'm taking in, hundreds, if not close to 1,000 trucks a week right now, and I'm a one-man show doing that. So it's exhausting and it's a lot of hours.
And that's a lot of beef, too, that you guys are feeding that's going to end up on somebody's plate at some point.
Yeah, we do a couple beef farms, but it's mostly dairies around here. We have a really big milk plant that all of the dairies got together and built themselves, and they own it, so they control what happens with their milk.
So it's more of it's going to be somebody's glass then in a roundabout way when it comes to that. But thank you for everything you do. And thank you for everyone out there working in that industry. I know everything has been rough everywhere when it comes to COVID-19 farming especially. But thank all of y'all that have helped to keep our tables full of food during this time, especially now. You all deserve a huge pat on the back for what y'all have been through.
Thank you, man. We on behalf of the ag community, we definitely appreciate it when other people recognize all the hard work that goes into it. But it's something you're born into. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, you're welcome with that. So let's go ahead and get into the racing conversation. We're going to start with NASCAR this evening. A lot to get into there between the announcement of what the number for 2311 is going to be, which is the Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan racing team, and I'll give you 2 guesses on that number, and the first one don't count, but we'll go for that in a little bit. First, we got to talk about how the Hollywood Casino 400 shook out, and I think everybody had something to say about that finish or lack thereof. The last 20 laps of that race was basically Kevin Harvick trying to get a run and could not find the run due to the fact that he just didn't have enough. He couldn't pull enough energy. He could not draft by Joey Logano. You could hear it the whole time they were on the onboard that both those cars were full throttle for most of that run. And in my opinion, and I'll ask you guys about it as well, it feels like it really punctuated the negatives of the high downforce, the NA18D aero rules that NASCAR introduced, where, yeah, it keeps the pack closer, but it doesn't allow the racing to be better because the dirty air that the cars are hitting when they try to pull out is so much worse than it was in previous years. And someone counter and say that it was, and maybe so, but they had 400 more horsepower to power through it with sheer speed. They don't have that anymore. So cars are trying to pull out and make passes and just getting stuck. In a lot of races, they could mask that. They couldn't mask it on Sunday evening, and it riled up a lot of people. So I want to ask both of you, what was your view on the fight between Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick, or the lack of a fight, for that matter?
You want to go first, Michael?
Yeah, I'll go first. Honestly, it was just disappointing to watch. It was kind of like watching Formula One for a second, because in Formula One, you also have the same kind of principles of dirty air. And, guy just can't get by the guy ahead of him because, it's dirty air. But he couldn't find the run because there's no real way to really, set up a run if you have dirty air. He can't just dive it down in there because, both cars are already full throttle. So it's just him just trying to find any type of way to get by, and he couldn't. It's just, he had to just kind of just sit there, and it wasn't very fun to watch because, you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen, and it's not going to happen until like a lap car just gets in the way or something like that. So it wasn't fun to watch at the end of the day. And Harvick and Bowman had the faster car. It's just Logano got up there and, he just kind of planted it there. There was a time where, a driver would just say, the guy ahead of me was just faster. And now it's just like the guy ahead of me is really good at just kind of placing his car there. So, it wasn't fun to watch. How about you, Mr. Lehman?
Yeah, so picking up on that, a little shout out to Daryl and I's nearest the win. Bowman there at the end was definitely coming up, and sounded like he just said he burned out his tires trying to catch up. But he was there for sure, and I think that that can come down to one or two things. Third place, who's a couple seconds back, can work their way right up to that front pack because of the inability of second to get around that slower car. So Joey Logano holds up Kevin Harvick, which allows third place to catch up, and it falls right back into that let's make closer racing argument. On the other hand, though, if it was your driver out front, and anybody listening to this, don't even pretend to try to fight me on this one. But if that was your driver out front, you'd be like, heck yeah, we just got the dub, and that's all that matters. Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone complaining on Twitter, which is everyone, Joey Logano's going to Phoenix.
People do not like Joey Logano, man. I don't know why.
They do not.
They do not like him.
He produces results.
Yeah.
And, sliced bread. So you can't hate Logano and hate the package. If you hate Logano for winning, then you are saying that you're okay with this package, because the end of that race was purely this package on display.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm going to agree with you there. I'm sorry, Daryl, to cut you off, but yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. It's just the package. I do like close racing, but that's the thing about it. It's close racing. The pack is close, but the racing is non-existent. So, this next year's package that's supposed to come out, it has to implore better racing. But after watching this race, I don't know if it's going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I like racing. I like the fact that it's close, but it's not racing.
It's
it's
following.
It's super speedway, mini racing, I guess, because that's what when I looked at the race, that's what I saw. It's just super speedway racing, like toned down a bit. And, it looks great on TV, but when you look at the when you look at, the behind the scenes and you just watch, and see if people overtake, it's just not that fun to watch.
Well, it's not that fun to watch because they can't overtake. And T in the comments, because I'm not going to butcher my poor friend's name again. I don't know what's going on with that. But T in the chat that says they hate Joey Logano because they aren't Joey Logano. Pretty much. Also, Joey has that no friends mentality, which rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But dude's got a championship and he's going to Phoenix. So, whatever. And he also says the racing was like that one meme that's like the guy that's got a stick. And for this, it would be like he'd be poking at the Hollywood Casino 400 logo. And he'd be like, come on, do something. Because that's what the last 25 laps of that race was.
Well, Taryn, go make that app in the Meme Me.
Yes, and we also have to thank our sponsors, Meme Me, for that, as they are, our main sponsors here on the channel. But anyway, going back to what we were saying, they got a lot to work on. Sorry, the name actually came to me. This is what happens when you have a show hosted by an ADHD person. The word will get on the tip of his tongue, and he won't be able to say it, and then all of a sudden he goes on 5 minutes later, and then, that's what I was trying to say. So yeah, thank you to another app company and their app, Meme Me, for sponsoring us here on the Extra Mile and IE Sports Radio. If you ever wanted to make a meme of yourself or your family and friends, you can go over and download the Meme Me app on the Apple Store or on Google Play as well. So go check out Meme Me, brought to you by another app company. So let's go on. And actually, there's a question in the chat before we continue. Do you think Joey Logano doesn't get enough respect, too much respect, or the correct amount of respect?
I think it depends on who you ask, really. And by who you ask, I mean, who are we talking about specifically as handing out the respect? Because I feel like from a fan standpoint, everybody hates him, and it's because he runs everybody hard.
Yeah.
But I think if you talk in the garage, they're going to say, you know what, he's I don't want to swear, but he's a jerk on the track. He races everybody hard. He's very competitive. But I think at the end of the day, you have to respect his competitive spirit. That guy is going to race the wheels off that car, even if he's a lap down.
I would say, if we're going to go I was going to say just keep it to fans, but if we are going to say fans and the drivers, he's got some drivers that he doesn't like, but they respect him because he races as hard as they do, because they all race that hard. They just won't admit it sometimes when someone gets into them. The fans do not like him because of his driving style. And it's funny, I didn't think we'd see a driver that would be more disliked than Kyle Busch when it comes to that, but it feels like Joey Logano is sliding right into that mold as Kyle Busch is about to slide into the Jimmy Johnson aging veteran that everyone suddenly likes now portion of his career. And it's going to be funny because a good 80% of this fan base that's going to be talking about how great Kyle Busch was hated his guts in his prime. And I'm keeping receipts when we get to that, by the way. So, even my own receipts. So,
my thing about Joey Logano is I hate his personality. He's kind of have this Kyle Busch effect for me, where you remember how many times I've said where I love watching him race, but I hate it when he talks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Joey Logano. I hate hearing him talk. I don't like his attitude, but the racing he does is good. So,
I think one of my favorite, it's Joey Logano related, but I love Bristol when Denny Hamlin did the impression, short track racing. Did you guys see that?
I thought that was hilarious. And a lot of people didn't like that.
A lot of people didn't, but oh my God, I was laughing so hard at that.
I mean, it's who he is, and I think he's made peace with the fact that some people just aren't going to like him. I don't think he cares. So, Joe Logano ends up picking up the win at Kansas. Kevin Harvick second. Alex Bowman third in that race. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch rounding out the top five. Chase Elliott was sixth. Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, your top 10 on Saturday. And if we go over to the points standings, Joey was outside of the top 8 when the day began, which creates an interesting situation when it comes to the point standings, because now Chase Elliott, who by all accounts had a decent run, nothing really went bad for him, but he didn't win. He's now 8 points behind Brad Keselowski for the final spot in the playoffs, in the Championship 4 going into Phoenix. Alex Bowman is 27 back, and he finished third on the day. And Martin Truex is 31 back. He had issues. Kurt Busch blew a motor, 73 back. For these 4 drivers, 2 of which had a great day, by all accounts, they now come into Texas needing to do well. And in Alex Bowman's case on back, probably needing to win, which is going to turn up the aggressiveness a little bit. And like what we saw in 2015 when Texas was first in the playoffs, that's going to, or not when they were first in the playoffs, when they were first in this format, or this elimination style format, rather. This is going to create some testy racing, which might actually breathe some life into a track that has not been very good in the past few years.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that I thought Michael would go first. But yeah, I think that Texas could really benefit from this. You've got Bowman and Chase Elliott, who they're not necessarily, Chase Elliott's definitely not in a I need to win to get in, but Bowman, I think the writing's on the wall that more or less, if last week proved anything, it's I can run almost a perfect race and still get screwed over in the points. Mm-hmm. So, but Chase Elliott, he's just got to put together some solid runs like he had on Sunday. But I think that you can really benefit from seeing Keselowski.
Oh no, what happened?
Christopher, we got you?
They need to one-up each other for points, and I think they're going to go for the win. So I think Texas will really benefit from having 3 or 4 guys who are right there on the fringe that all say, okay, I need to win this one. And if not, Texas has always been boring, so we just got another boring one to sit through until we go to Martinsville. That should be fun. That's the way I see it.
And that's unfortunate because Texas used to be a decent track, and then they went ahead and reconfigured one of the corners. Nobody asked them to do that, and the racing has fallen off a cliff ever since. They're going to have to do something with that track. And Eddie Gossage isn't going to want to do it because we know how proud he is. They're going to have to put some sort of banking back into turn 3 and 4. They're going to make that track worth anything. But we shall see how the racing is on Sunday.
They should have left Auto Club the way it was. I think without a repave, they could have got probably at least 2, maybe 3 more years. In the meantime, fix Texas or fix something else. And then when that pavement at Auto Club lost its life, then go in and make it a short track. But Auto Club's provided some great racing. So, if we're going to fix a good track, let's fix a bad one like Texas.
Yeah. And I think there's several tracks they need to look at doing some work at it, some reconfiguring going forward. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue the NASCAR conversation. We're going to get into the silly season news, including the Kyle Larson return, which has now been made official by NASCAR. And later on, we're going to talk about the Grand Prix of St. Pete and how that race kind of brings us full circle when it comes to the COVID red flag. We'll be right back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on iSports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Extra Mile here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Daryl, Christopher, and Michael with you this evening. We're going to continue with the NASCAR conversation to get into some of the silly season news that has just been updated, and we've got a couple of driver transfers that have happened during this week, including Eric Jones is going over to the 43. He'll be joining Richard Petty Motorsports starting in 2021. Eric Jones currently at JGR. Kind of in the same situation that many of the Toyota development drivers are in, frankly, when they get to the Cup Series team. They don't perform as well as Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin over there. And then later Martin Truex Jr., even though, you know, they're much younger and much less experienced than those guys. And they get pushed out the door. So Christopher Bell is going to be the next one to jump into the revolving door at the 4th JGR car. And Michael, I guess I'll come with you and start with you with this one. What is realistic expectations for Eric Jones in that 43?
Top 15s. Yeah, honestly, just maybe top 15s, top 20s. You know, the RPM car isn't as good as the rest of the field, so I expect him to do at least, you know, top 15s, top 20s, because in JGR equipment, he wasn't really doing it. Yep. So I think top 15s are, you know, his reasonable. I think he'll just stay there until he finds something else he can do.
And Christopher, we're going into this with yet another JGR young gun getting into the 20. Is Christopher Bell the one that's finally going to work out in that seat, or are we going to see yet another revolving door when Tyler Gibbs is ready in a few years?
Well, my Skype dipped out on me there for a second, but I assume that I'm going to talk about Christopher Bell here, right?
Yes. And the question is will he finally solidify that 4th JGR car, or will he be the next in a long line of JGR developmental drivers that didn't get enough time to gel with that car?
So I am a Christopher Bell fan. I happen to like the kid quite a bit. And I think that if anyone is going to solidify that fourth car and be I want to say the face of the future for JGR, because that revolving door, they're getting rid of all their new upcoming talent, their own developmental people, for Kyle Busch, Truex, and Denny Hamlin, which, yeah, you know what? They are great drivers. They are dominating. Well, I shouldn't say Kyle Busch, but, I guess what I would say is in the last 2 years, those three cars have dominated the sport. And the fourth car has been lagging, but you have to let these drivers develop. Eric Jones maybe was a little bit better in the lower series than he was up here, but was he getting that full Joe Gibbs support, or was he kind of on the back burner to give the big three at JGR a shot? That's something that's got to be considered, but I think that now they have to be looking at the future, especially with Kyle going winless, and I think that they're going to back Christopher Bell more than they have backed others, which stinks for me. I was really hoping to see Christopher Bell take over that fourth Hendrick car. That would have just done it for me. But yeah, I think that he's going to be at JGR for quite a while, and when it's Ty Gibbs' turn or the next person in the development, I think you're going to see a retirement. Maybe Ty Gibbs is coming in and taking over that 11 and FedEx for Hamlin. I think that they found their fourth driver for a long time with Christopher Bell.
And even if they don't, they may have another seat at 2311 Racing coming open as that team, the Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin back team, which will have Bubba Wallace behind the wheel. That team has officially been christened. That was earlier today, as the Twitter account is now up. They are obviously going to use the number 23 going forward, as that was the number Michael Jordan made famous, going on to 6 championships. I'm not going to mince words. There are a lot of people that consider themselves NASCAR fans that are going to overreact to every poor finish that team, or I can't even call it a poor finish because they didn't exist before next week. Or next year. So every building block finish, I'll put it like that, they have next season, there's going to be a certain amount of fans that are going to overreact to and say dumb stuff on Twitter about, compared to the 43. So I will just continue the circle again, go back to Marcus and Christopher. What is realistic standards to set for the 2311 outfit next season? Because they're not going to win. Unless it's a rain delay or something goes wild at a plate track, they're not going to win. And I don't think consistent top 10s are going to be even realistic with everything that's going on. So what is a realistic finish to shoot for that team?
I'm going to say maybe top 15s, because, top 15s aren't bad for a new team, and I think they're only going to get faster as time goes on. And maybe top 10s, because Bubba Wallace, let's just be honest, he's a really good driver. So I think he'll be some races he'll be able to drag that car up to, top 10s, maybe even top 5s even. But winning, I don't think so. But I think that team is going to do well as a foreseeable future, because, like I said it before, I believe that team is, basically another Stewart Haas team. Mm-hmm. And, you've seen how great they've done. So I think given time, they will continue to do well and build up momentum. And then they're going to be, a serious threat, in a couple years down the line.
Well, you've actually got top 15s. I've actually got further than that. But Christopher, what are actual realistic expectations for that team?
So for me, I think on an intermediate, I think they're going to be in the 20s somewhere. Mm-hmm. I think between 20 and 25 is going to be more or less a good day, especially in the first couple months until they. Any team requires chemistry. And unless they've got their team now, think about a pit crew. It must take a long time to develop the chemistry to just do it in such perfect synchrony. So I don't think that they're going to have great results up front. However, Bubba Wallace, he has put that 43 car up towards the front in every plate race. Mm-hmm. I can't think of one plate race where he hasn't been running top 5 pretty consistently. So, think about Austin Dillon's Daytona 500 win. Bubba Wallace was second. So I think that it's going to play to Bubba's strengths. I think where he does good on plate tracks, I think you're going to see some great finishes out of this team up front. But I think until they develop further, mid-20s is what you should really expect for at least the first year.
That is kind of where I was going, where 20 to 25 on any track that's not a restrictor plate track, and then, or whatever you want to call them at this point, because technically they're unrestricted. But when we get to like the super speedways, then it's who knows what's going to happen, because those races are unpredictable at this point. But we know Bubba nearly won the Daytona 500 a few years ago, has had several chances to win at those tracks until an unfortunate incident took him out late. So I think realistically that team will be in the 20s on the plates. Top 15s will be a good day. And then when we get into the next gen car going forward, I think that team's going to have a lot of chance to grow and actually get into the top 10s on a realistic basis after they, go through the gelling period and learn some of the hard lessons that have to be learned when starting a NASCAR Cup Series team. But I think that team's going to be good in general, and NASCAR, for obvious reasons, really wants that team to do well, and we don't really have to go into that much more further than that. And we also have Chase Briscoe going into the 14, which was a no-brainer after Clint Boyer decided to step away and go into the Fox booth. But the biggest news, I think, of the day, or of this week, was the fact that Kyle Larson is officially back reinstated in NASCAR after everything that happened in April with him saying, we know what he said at this point during Monza Madness. We will see how that goes with him next year. More than likely, he's going to go with Hendrick. I think that is almost a certainty at this point. Fellas, and I'll start with Michael. This has been a long, winding road to get back for Kyle Larson. He's taken almost a year off at this point. What is his mindset going to be when he gets back into a car next season?
I want to say business is always, get up there, start racing for wins and competing again. Mm-hmm. I think at this time he wants to put that behind him and, again, go for wins and everything like that. He's going to get, I don't think he's going to get as much criticism because hasn't he done things to actually prove that, he is pretty sorry about what he said?
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff off camera that we haven't heard about, but he has done some things.
Yeah, so I'm thinking he's put it behind him, and I think he's just sorry for what he's done, and he's ready to go back and get back to racing. And I think, like I said, it's just going to be business as always. Mm-hmm. And I don't really think he's just. I think he's not going to win off the bat. It's going to take him a while for him to win and compete to before he was when he left. But in my opinion, it's just going to be business as always.
Christopher, what do you think the emotion is going to be like when he gets back into the car next year?
I am not really sure. I think that everybody should get a second chance, though it's not my place to say, Kyle Larson, you've gotten a second chance. I am a white guy, therefore I don't believe that I have any place in the discussion of what he did. I listening to people. There was a video that he's back on Twitter, by the way, people. And he pinned a tweet where he did an interview, and some people that he's met along the way, like with the Philadelphia Urban Youth School, driving school, the owners of that school kind of have been supportive of him the whole time, and they say they think he's genuine. So I will take their word on it, not mine. I think that he will not spoil this chance. I think he is genuine, but again, not my place to say so. But I've always, and this is a hot take, and I get a lot of crap about this, but I think he's overrated, to be honest. I don't think he's as good as everyone hypes him up to be. So I think it's going to be business as usual, like he was in the 42, maybe a win a year, but I don't expect him to come out the greatest thing ever, like everyone thinks he's going to be. He's okay on asphalt, but dirt is where he's the best. And people are going to be disappointed when they remember how average or slightly above average he is on pavement.
Yeah, well, and definitely since they've gone to lower horsepower cars, when they had the higher horsepower and he could, sling that thing around the top side, at the 2 mile tracks, he couldn't be beat. But unfortunately, the drop in horsepower and everything has really hurt him on the asphalt, and that was before everything that went down. By all accounts, it seems that he has, changed for the better, and that's good because he needed to if he was going to come back. But there is no third chance from what he did. I think we all know that. Like, this was the one mistake. There cannot be, and I said this on Tuesday, there cannot be another incident of this caliber. There just cannot be. For him, for NASCAR, for Hendrick Motorsports, who more than likely will be his employer next year, because if he messes up again, everybody's going to look stupid. And this sport is going to get killed for it.
I agree with that. Everybody has to be towing the line at this point, not just Kyle Larson, but everybody who is employed in the NASCAR industry. I mean, truck drivers, the hauler drivers, they have to be careful.
Yep.
And, it's something that there's no place for racism in this world at all. But for the love of God, people, please remember that everybody is always recording.
Yes.
Like, I never understand how people can do such stupid things in public. It blows my mind.
I don't get it. In 2020, everybody is recording, everybody is listening. And he literally did it during an event that was not only being live streamed by iRacing, but multiple individuals were also live streaming the race on their personal channels, including Connor Daly.
I was going to say there were some other actual NASCAR sanctioned drivers in there too.
Yeah, act like everybody is recording you at all times and move accordingly. I think that's the best advice I could give somebody right now. Act like everybody's watching, because more than likely somebody is recording you in public, even if you don't know it.
Like us right now, we're being recorded, but we know it.
Yeah, that's the difference. We literally know we're being recorded, and unlike, Kyle Larson, we can slap an explicit filter on this if need be, but that's not going to save us from everything, but it is what it is. So I hope Larson, I wish him well coming back, but kid, stay out of trouble, because if you mess up this time, nobody's going to come help you. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the big Formula One news, which is Haas throwing out all their drivers and going in a new direction, probably a monetary-based one. More on that later. And also discuss the Grand Prix of St. Pete, which is now the season ender for IndyCar, and give you our picks in nearest the win. We'll be right back after this here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. All right, we'll let that run. We'll be right back. I'm going to get my phone real quick.
Okay.
Oh, we are not clear.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Vince Wright, the sports governor from the great state of Minnesota, and I want to thank you for listening to Sports Done Right. Make sure you're checking us out on all of our platforms, whether it's Spreaker.com, XSquadAffiliates.com. We're also heard on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network, so keep it tuned here. More great things coming from Sports Done Right.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the waitaminuteshow.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Indeed.
All right, cool.
And welcome back to the Extra Mile here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are into the final segment now of the Extra Mile, and we're going to talk about IndyCar and Formula One. We're going to start with Formula One because Michael, our team, Haas, they're going in a complete new direction when it comes to drivers. Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen both out at Haas. That announcement was made today. Haas will now be looking for new drivers to take over that team. It is especially sad when it comes to Grosjean, as he was there since the team's infancy, and now they move on. We all know that Haas has been reeling since the failed sponsorship with Rich Energy, and boy, was that a disaster.
Still haven't found a bottle of anyway, which I still haven't found a bottle of.
Yeah, I have still not found a can of it anywhere. I think one YouTuber, actually drank it. Other than that, I have not seen a can of this stuff anywhere. There's been a lot of rumors about the future of Haas as it is. There's been rumors that Gene Haas may sell the team. There's rumors that other people may be in play for that team. I've heard Mick Schumacher's name already. What do you think about the future of Haas F1?
I think it stays for the most part. I do see a team. I do see somebody buying it eventually. But for right now, I do think it'll stay in F1. As for who the drivers will be, I think I hear this a lot, and part of me doesn't agree with me, but it starts to make more sense. I think Perez is going to get in that in one of those seats.
Really?
Yeah, Perez has a ton, and I do mean a ton, of sponsorship from Mexico. He's got Telcel. He's got a lot of companies, backing him, and I think Haas will want to get in on that. So I think Perez is going to get that seat. Who's going to accompany him? I think they got Perez. Perez is good. Not only does he have a lot of money, but he's also really good. So, that's that. That's a good thing for them. But I also think Ferrari is going to back and put Schumacher in there. Because they can't put him in Alfa Romeo right now because Giovinazzi, is still in development over there. And Kimi Räikkönen is still kicking it. So I think, I'm calling it right now. Haas is going to have Sergio Perez and Mick Schumacher for 2021. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, and I think that with that, I think they'll be able to stay in for a few more years until somebody, decides to purchase them.
Christopher, this team was brought around to try and, build upon the fan base in Formula One in the United States, and unfortunately took a huge hit after that 2005 debacle at the U.S. Grand Prix and hasn't really recovered since then, if we're going to be honest. Do you think that we will see a future with Haas F1 as it is, or are they on their way out?
I think it depends. I think the next drivers are going to determine that. If they find some success, then it could be business as usual for Haas. But I think that if they don't get people that come in and do well for them, I think it could be a sinking ship. It really depends on who these drivers are that come in. And I was just reading an article while Michael was talking, and they say that there's been rumors that a Ferrari junior driver is already penciled in on one of them. So, who sits in it is going to determine the outcome for me.
It's going to be tough seeing what that team was going to do, and it's unfortunate because at one point it looked like Haas was going to be the next Force India or Racing Point or whatever you want to call them at this point, and unfortunately now they are one bad sponsorship deal and they are near the bottom of the grid, almost behind Williams at this point, and it's going to be hard for them to climb out of the hole. And the big question is, does Gene Haas want to spend that money to get out of there? Because they tried the sponsorship role with the team sponsor, it blew up spectacularly in their face, and who knows how much more he wants to do with this team. We'll see in the future. Moving forward, we've got IndyCar now coming, and that starts in... Our IndyCar is going to be going to St. Pete this weekend to end their season, which brings, for the most part, a close to the circle of the COVID red flags. This was one of the first races that was canceled. Remember, IndyCar was supposed to start their season the weekend that sports completely shut down from this virus. This event was not canceled. It was postponed to the end of the season, and fellas, somehow we made it. We haven't had any major relapses in the racing community. We've had a couple of drivers get sick, but nothing major to where any sports had to shut down again. It's kind of crazy that we got here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's, I kind of, have to give it to the medical experts and, everybody out there who, and the people, of course, who decided, we're going to wear, a mask and everything and practice, hygiene. I appreciate all of those guys, because without them, we would not have been able to have another season. I'm surprised the 24 Hours of Le Mans happened. I'm surprised a lot of these races happened. Mm-hmm. So I gotta hand it off to people, the people, for making all of this happen, because without you, this wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah, Christopher, we got to this point we're at this point of the season now where most of the racing series are now handing out championships. And I'm going to be honest, I did not see us handing out championships back in March. I didn't think we were going back racing back in March, to be honest. For me, this is incredible that we even got here.
Yeah, I think that, not just IndyCar, not just NASCAR, but I think that the sports industry as a whole should really congratulate themselves on a great adaptation to what this year brought. The NBA bubble worked. NASCAR, they sort of bubbled themselves, how drivers weren't allowed into the garages and stuff like that. And I think that each sports league did what they thought would be best, and as a result, we're seeing sports being played. Every sport has had some sort of turn over since this coronavirus outbreak started, and it's great to see. Obviously, for everybody, we all needed something good to happen this year, and I'm excited that we're dwindling down on the racing season. And I'm loving the fact that we've got most, if not all, of the races in for at least all of the North American series. It's just good to see that tracks, sponsors, TV, teams, everybody was able to work together, and not just in racing, but every sport. I think it really showed what humanity as a whole can do when we all come together.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's bittersweet that, it's always bitter that the season is winding down, because then we're going to go into winter with nothing to do. But it is so, so sweet that we even got to this point, given everything that went down. I'm just, kudos to all the racing leagues that had to put together these traveling bubbles and these schedules that we've never seen scheduling on the fly like we saw in most cases. Like NASCAR was basically doing their schedule month to month, which for a series of their caliber is pretty much unheard of. And somehow they got through. They got it done. And in a few weeks, we're going to be celebrating a championship on Sunday. More than likely, Scott Dixon will be hoisting a 6th championship and going for a 7th next season, and it's wild that we got here, but it's also nice. But now it is time to make picks for nearest to win before we get out of here.
Daryl.
Go ahead.
I know we got to wrap it up, but I actually wanted both of your inputs on something. Mm-hmm. Going back to Formula One, a lot of people believe that Albon will be hoisted out of Red Bull soon. Just your quick thoughts about that.
Say that again. I didn't hear you real quick. Say it one more time.
I said in 2021, a lot of people believe that Albon is going to be hoisted out of Red Bull next year. I just wanted both of your quick thoughts on that.
Albon has not had a good year in the Red Bull car, and we know that they don't take lightly to that because of all the drivers they have in their developmental programs. So I would not be surprised if Albon gets demoted back to AlphaTauri or is gone entirely.
Yeah, because go ahead.
I was gonna say I would mimic that. They've got a strong development coming up, and it would be kind of like Joe Gibbs in a way. If you don't produce, there's someone right below you waiting to take that seat. Next man up, and they might not be afraid to use that mentality next year.
We shall see. We shall see. But continue on with picks. I'm sorry.
We didn't even talk Bathurst.
Oh, right, Bathurst.
Right. Well, we got 4 minutes to go, so we can talk Bathurst really quick. I unfortunately did not get to see a lot of Bathurst because I was doing the Hydroplane League broadcast on Saturday. It was a lot of fun from what little I did see. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, like I was telling you in the pre-show, I was so busy with work that I really didn't get a chance, but I did a little reading up. I kind of watched some clips and stuff, and this is the first Bathurst I've missed in a while. I probably couldn't even tell you the last one that I didn't see. But from what I understand, McLaughlin had an ill-timed safety car. And so that being his other driver did not complete his minimum amount of laps. So they required an extra pit stop to switch out drivers, which effectively potentially cost him the win. Like I said, I wasn't watching, but it's nice to see Holden go out with a win. So hats off to those guys and hats off to everyone that participated. It's a tough race. I've raced that track and it did not go so well for me. I can't keep it between the lines.
It is not an easy track to drive at all. And congratulations. That is now the end of the V8 Supercar season. Scott McLaughlin will be coming over to run in the IndyCar race on Sunday. Cannot wait to see that as he gets his first taste of open wheel racing with Penske. And go ahead.
Sorry, it's kind of an end of an era though, because McLaughlin not coming back next year. But I did read that he said he's not closing out Bathurst, coming back and doing Bathurst. So that's something to look forward to all the supercar fans out there.
That is going to be a lot of fun to see him still running Bathurst for a couple of years to come. I wish we could get some NASCAR drivers to go and do Bathurst, but just with the sheer logistics of their schedule, it would be difficult to do with them racing almost every weekend, of course. So we can dream. We can dream. Maybe a virtual Bathurst. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yep. So with that being said, now we can get to our picks before we get on out of here. We got a full slate of picks in IndyCar, NASCAR, and Formula One. I will go first. I'm in IndyCar. I've got Scott Dixon winning his 6th championship by winning the race. When it comes to Formula One, it's either going to be Bottas or Hamilton, more than likely Hamilton. I think I got a Hamilton pick this week. If not, obviously, Matt, Bottas if I don't have the Hamilton pick, Hamilton if I do. That's just how Formula One goes right now, unfortunately. And in NASCAR, I think Brad Keselowski, he's been good at this track in the playoffs before. I think he locks in at Texas and goes into the round of 4.
You want to go, Michael?
Yep. For NASCAR, I'm going to go with... I'm actually going to go with Alex Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's shown that he's got some real pace in that car. So I think he's going to do something spectacular, and I think he's going to get in. My next pick would have to be for Formula One. I'm going to go with... I think I have a Hamilton pick, but picking Hamilton all the time is boring. So I'm going to go with Max Verstappen.
It's boring, but it also gives you the points.
Yeah, I understand, but it's boring.
I know.
But and for IndyCar, I'm gonna rival you on that one. I'm gonna go with Joseph Newgarden.
All right, and that just leaves Christopher and his picks.
So IndyCar, I picked Jackson last time, so I will also put my chips in on Newgarden. F1, I believe I did Bottas last, so I will go with the obvious choice in Lewis Hamilton. And in NASCAR at to my championship 4 predictions. But Denny Hamlin, I have him going out, but he won Texas last year, so I don't know. I think it's Denny Hamlin's.
So those are our picks for Nearest to Win. Of course, if you guys want to play, hit up Nearest to Win on Twitter, hashtag Nearest to Win with your picks for this week. But we got to go. Of course, if you want to talk to us during the week, I'm at DK Jr. 12, Christopher's at Fiji Sims, and Michael's at Michael_War25. Make sure you keep it locked to all the IE Sports social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And, of course, check out IESportsRadio.com. If you want to hear me ramble on more about racing, check out 2i Tuesday on WBGR Sports, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. And if you want to hear me get really excited about some virtual hydroplanes, check me out at twitch.tv/Tornado Dash, because this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we go live with the Rooster Tail Talks presents Saturday Night Hydroplane League Division 1, the Lake Gunnersville Hydrofest from virtual Lake Gunnersville in Alabama, round 2 of the season. That'll be live streamed starting at 7:30. With all that being said, also, big shout out to our sponsor, another app company, and their app, Mean Me. Check that out on the Google Play Store and soon the Apple Store as well. With that being said, for Christopher and Michael, I am Daryl. This has been The Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.